Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And the Texas Rangers have just won their first World Series in franchise history. Get up for the Texas Rangers, going undefeated on the road the whole postseason. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, they're all pretty much carry the Rangers offense all the way through the postseason. So Braeden and I are going to give you our reactions right here after their big World Series win over the Arizona Diamondbacks, who had a great run but fell just short. But yeah, we'll get right into it here. So the Rangers, I feel like they were sort of a sleeper team. Not as much of a sleeper team as the Diamondbacks by any means, but I don't think anyone really expected the Rangers to go all the way. Get through the Rays, get through the Astros, and then get through. Who's that team they played in the
Rays, Orioles, Astros.
Orioles, yeah. So you got through the Rays, Orioles, and Astros. And obviously that big dramatic series against the Astros. They were able to get past that, and then pretty much kind of had a cakewalk throughout the World Series, I would say. The games were close, but it felt like the Rangers were kind of in control most of the time, except for that game 2 there, where they kind of the lead slide in the later innings. But yeah, Braeden and I give you our reaction here. Braeden, first reaction to the Texas Rangers winning the World Series. I know you told me once they beat the Rays, you're like, wow, they look good. I didn't really buy into it as much as you did. But yeah, they definitely turned it up, and obviously were able to pull out a World Series win.
Yeah, so I think we both said Rangers in 6, right?
You might have said 6. I said 7.
Okay, yeah, 6 or 7, whatever it may have been. We both had the Rangers winning it. They did it in 5. It was very impressive. Like they said, it was. You hate to use the word cakewalk because they did have an extra innings game in there. It wasn't like they were all blowouts. But I think it was Saturday night they won. The Diamondbacks won Saturday night. But for the most part, besides that extra innings game, they looked like the best team, right?
Right.
The Rangers looked like the better team in this series, 1-5, so you can't really be mad there. I'd say overall, and we said going into the World Series that these two teams have been the best in the postseason, so they deserve to be there. They both went on the road. They were both wild card teams who went on the road in the first round, second round, third round. And got it done. Congrats to the Texas Rangers. I picked in that first wildcard round, I picked the Rays because the Rangers kind of stumbled into the playoffs. I think in their last 10, they were 4-6, right? And then they got swept by Seattle, the final series of the year for them in Seattle, which gave the Houston Astros the AL West title. And right there, I was like, because earlier in the season, I was like, I think this team could do it, right? But then I saw that, and I was like, they kind of stumbled into the playoffs here, and the Rays are hot, and they've got just as good of a bats across the board, right?
Right.
Then the Texas Rangers took care of them pretty convincingly. Honestly, probably one of the highlight plays for me in this postseason, believe it or not, is I don't remember which game. It was either game 1 or game 2 in that Rays-Rangers series, is when there was that bunt and Monty dove for the pop-up.
Yeah.
That sticks in my mind as I saw that and I was like, wow, this team means business, right? And after that, I told you, I was like, I think the Rangers could get there and they could do it. So congrats to them. I think the best team in the postseason won. The best team for a lot of the regular season too. The Orioles won the AL, but the Rangers were right there, and they were very good all year. Mm-hmm. They just kind of that last month or so of the season, they just didn't play great ball, but they showed up in October. So congrats.
Yeah, they were. Like you said, you hit this briefly before. They were a little concerning going into the postseason, considering they had such a large lead for the AL West,
and they blew it.
And then they blew it. They straight up blew it. The Astros kind of snuck up on them out of nowhere in September. So, yeah, we both had concerns there. Are they losing their mojo? Is going to let this affect them going into the postseason? But they didn't at all. They turned it right around, swept the Rays, swept the Orioles, took the Astros, won Game 7, and then beat the Diamondbacks in 5 in the World Series. So, they were able to turn it right around with the help of Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and Adolis Garcia. Great pitching overall. Great defense overall. And I think one thing about this team, Braden, is they're really young, so they could be right back at it again next year.
Absolutely.
Corey Seager has the veteran experience they need now with 2 World Series MVPs. Adolis Garcia, healthy. Jordan Montgomery, Eovaldi, they're obviously postseason pitching studs. And they signed Scherzer in the middle of the summer. I think it was like late July they signed him, or they traded for him. And, we're like, well, I think you and I both said, like, I don't think this puts them over the edge. Like, I still don't think they'd be the favorite to win the American League, let alone the World Series. But they honestly didn't even really need him because he got injured the second inning in Game 3. So they were able to give it to the bullpen right after he went down, and they shut the door, got the job done.
Yeah,
I think they were just the better team in all aspects. Starting pitching, relief pitching, defense, and hitting.
Yeah, I mean, we like you just said, we made the argument that when they acquired Max Scherzer, like, this doesn't put them over the edge, right? But it didn't really put them over the edge because he basically started pitching. I mean, he pitched a few games in the regular season, got hurt, and then showed up again late in the postseason, right? So he didn't really put them over the edge. They were just so hot that it didn't matter.
Yeah. It just didn't matter. It was kind of just like a neutral signing. It wasn't like he was like, oh, this is make or break the Rangers. They were already a good team as it was. They kind of just signed Scherzer. They probably wanted that veteran experience pitching for the postseason. That's probably what they were thinking.
Yeah, and look, they've got DeGrom too, who's widely considered one of the most elite pitchers in baseball, injury prone, but widely considered one of the best. And he pitched. All I can remember, I think he pitched 1 game this year, right? 1 or 2?
I don't know. He did not pitch for very long. He at most he pitched for a month.
I think he pitched opening day. I think that's it. Right, I think that's basically it. And they were able to overcome a lot of injuries during the season.
Mm-hmm. Even Seager was out for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the real stud though of the playoffs, and it's not like it's people aren't talking about it, but Eovaldi, wow,
right, postseason. That's a second postseason great run right he's had. He had one with the Red Sox in 2018.
But that to me, that is that's more than a great run. That is incredible. He went and it wasn't like I didn't believe in him. It was just I think he went 5 or 6-0. And he looked.
I don't think he lost.
He looked lights out in every single start. There wasn't one. He didn't have one shaky start.
No.
He looked great in every single
all postseason.
So I mean, obviously, Seager was the guy who kind of put the team on his back offensively. But as far as starting pitching, Nathan killed it, and the bullpen, which you and I both had concerns. I think everybody had concerns about their bullpen. Mm-hmm. Particularly in the World Series, got it done.
Yeah.
So
that's all they had to do. I just found Jacob deGrom pitched in 6 games this year.
6 games.
Went 2-0. So it wasn't in the rotation very long before going down. But yeah, I think
he gets a ring.
Yeah, Texas Rangers. They were just he gets a ring finally. I just think the Texas Rangers, they really got hot at the right time, like we always discuss. It's all about who's really hot, and the Rangers were a team that obviously had the offensive power. You got Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, Corey Seager, who's had experience in the postseason, and then they have the bunch of young guys too: Josh Jung, Jonah Heim, Evan Carter. I just think it was overall they're just overall a really good team, especially when they're playing well and playing hot and playing with confidence.
Absolutely, and MLB or Fox, the Fox broadcast in the game, kept pushing that both these teams 2 seasons ago lost over 100 games.
Right.
So it's not one of those things where, you see teams dominate year in and year out. I mean, obviously the Astros have had long-term success over the past, 7-8 years. Mm-hmm. But a quick turnaround for both these teams, and I expect both these teams to be back in the playoffs next year. Obviously the Texas Rangers, fresh off the World Series, I expect them to definitely contend to repeat. I would definitely say, as long as they keep this team together, like you said. And Arizona, they have their brand of baseball. I'm sure we'll talk more about the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I expect them to stick around, even though the NL West is there's a lot of good teams there. I mean, you got the Dodgers, you got the
yeah.
Giants, you got the Pirates. We can talk about all those teams. So,
yeah. Speaking, I was just going to get into the Diamondbacks. Great run by them. No one was expecting them to make the playoffs in July. No one was expecting them to get past the first round against the Brewers. No one was expecting them to get past the second round against the Dodgers. You know, they swept the Dodgers. And no one was expecting them to get past Philly, especially after going down 3-2, going back to Philly. But they were able to get it done. I think their magic just ran just short.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just think the Rangers were the better team.
yeah.
They're just overpowering against the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks did play their brand of baseball. I also think their bullpen was a little gassed toward come the World Series.
Yeah.
They were getting used a lot, and but not taking anything away from the Diamondbacks. Had a great run. And like you said, I expect them to be back in the playoffs next year. I think you're going to have high expectations now, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're going to have high expectations. I think they're going to be expected to be back in the playoffs, especially after making this run. I don't think it was a fluke. I just think they got hot at the right time, and they just came up just short, unfortunately. I was kind of pulling for them because they were kind of underdog team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the Rangers were just a better team overall. I don't think anyone was stopping the Rangers after they got past the Astros. I think maybe the Braves, if they were really hot. I don't think the Phillies would have beat the Rangers. I don't think the Diamondbacks really had a chance.
I agree.
After watch, I mean the Diamondbacks had a chance, but after they went down, like 2-1, 3-1 is kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, pretty much everything just reinforced everything you said. I think they just ran out of gas, and yeah, I think there's definitely an expectation that they'll be back next year. Probably through I want to say June, July, maybe it was even earlier. I don't remember. They looked good. We talked about it a few times on here. We were like, where did the Diamondbacks come from? And then they kind of fizzled. They kind of fizzled out. And then
because they did fizzle out because they had. I looked it up the other day. Had a 7% chance to make the playoffs in August or something.
Yeah, they really fizzled out in the summer. But then as soon as it hit end of August, early September, they turned it on again. And there was a lot of pressure because they were fighting with teams like the Reds and the Cubs and the Marlins, to get in. And it felt like they kind of just stumbled. I hate to use the word stumbled because it's not like they didn't earn it, but they, when they got in, it was this team was good, but they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But we should have seen this somewhat coming. Maybe not a World Series run, but this team was one of the leading the NL for a good portion of the season. They looked like the best team in the NL for a lot of the season. Mm-hmm. At least the first few months, they looked like a top 3 team, definitely in the NL. Fizzled away in the summer, and then ended up being a wild card team in the playoffs, and then did what they did early in the season in the playoffs and got to the World Series. Just fell short. So
yeah, that's a good point. I think we touched on this in earlier episodes too, that they had actually a negative run differential heading into the postseason, the regular season. Just baseball's a crazy game like that. Just a matter of getting hot. I really liked. I know it's probably not for the casual fan. Super appealing to watch Diamondbacks, but I really like their brand of baseball because it's kind of how I was taught to play baseball. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Bunt, steal, hit and run, get on base where it counts, and then once in a while hit the long ball. But yeah, I just liked watching that brand because that's how I was taught to play the game growing up. Because you don't have guys hitting 500-foot bombs at Pleasant Valley High School there. So, but yeah, I just thought they were had a great run. They're a lot of fun to watch, and I personally will have high expectations for them for next year. I think right now I would say it's a letdown if they don't make the playoffs next year.
I agree.
And I don't know, they were just super young, super fun to watch. I think they're going to learn from this, and I think they'll be back next year. You got Corbin Carroll's going to win the Rookie of the Year. They got Moreno, star catcher, coming up. Alec Thomas, he showed out in the World Series. Or not the World Series really, but postseason. So yeah, I think they're gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed watching them play.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. And they've got they got guys. They got Carroll, they got Marte. They've got fun guys to watch. Right. And they also do have, despite them being a really young team, they do have a few veterans here and there, Longoria, right? He didn't have a huge presence in the World Series, but just having that voice in the locker room matters. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So despite not being on the field a ton, definitely I think that has an effect because he's been in the league for 15, 16 years, something like that. But yeah, I would definitely say that I would expect this team to be back, and they are a fresh, fun team to watch because they're not reliant necessarily on the home run ball. They're not, like you said, relying on hitting it into the stands. They're very comfortable hitting a single, maybe a double, stealing a runner, and all of a sudden you got a runner scoring position, then hitting another single or hitting a double into the outfield, getting a run in, then automatically you got another runner on second. You know what I mean? They're comfortable with that kind of momentum rhythm of the game where you don't need to hit home runs to get everyone off the base. You can hit a single double and just move people around and then steal, bomb, all that. And, that's fun to watch as a casual fan because you got a team like the Rangers who are much more like that, where they've got a lot of dudes that have no problem hitting it 430 feet into the stands.
Right.
And it's not that the Diamondbacks can't hit homers too. It's just their focus is more so on dumping a ton of runs on you at a time, with a rhythm, not just like, let's just go hit 3 solo home runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And then one more thing I want to touch up on. I think Ketel Marte in Game 5 did lose his postseason hitting streak because he walked 3 times. I thought that was unfortunate, but he had a great run.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would take getting on base 3 times for his team in the World Series, especially with their brand of baseball. But yeah, the Rangers were not pitching him really at all come Game 5, 6, as he was just, or not Game 4 and 5 because he was just so hot.
Yeah, and like I said, for most of these games, like there was the one game that got bad. I think it was Saturday night. Not Saturday. One of the games they were bad. I forget what day it was. It
was the Halloween game Tuesday because I was out playing some wiffle ball. I come back in to check the score.
It was like 10-0. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was like Tuesday or something like that. So they're for the most part, besides that game, like they kind of were able to keep up with that last game was 1-0 through the 8th inning. Right? Mm-hmm. It was 0-0 through like 6 or 7, right? It just so happened that the Rangers kind of poured it on in the late innings and pulled away, and that's all she wrote, right? So, despite it only going 5 games and it's like a gentleman's sweep, it wasn't, a couple of those games could have went the Diamondbacks' way. It wasn't like they were getting killed 5-0 every single game or by 5 runs.
No, they were in it.
They were in most of these games besides the one. And they, on Saturday they lit it up with Merrill Kelly on the mound. Mm-hmm. They killed him in that Saturday night game. But
yeah, that's a good point. I just think the Rangers were just a little bit better. They had more depth, a little more offensive power. Corey Seager with that experience, and Corey Seager, obviously the World Series MVP. It's his second World Series MVP. I would say even in the regular season, he kind of just put the team on his back because I would say he's in contention for MVP at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he'll be like top 3 in voting probably.
Yeah.
I got Shohei, Judge, Altuve even. But Seager's right there too.
Yeah.
I just think the veteranness in the Rangers and their starting pitching is what really put them over the edge against the Diamondbacks. Because, Zach Gallen, he didn't
pitch well, really.
He had a great Game 5 until he had that no-hitter going into the 7th. But then I think he got a little fatigued too. Seager, saw him a couple times. It was his 3rd time up in the order. It's only a matter of time till the Rangers get hot again, especially with their offensive power. But yeah, like I said, I just think it's, the Rangers were just the better overall team.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Cool. Yeah, any more thoughts?
It's
kind of a bittersweet feeling with the World Series ending because, this was our first full MLB season.
Yeah.
On In the Yard.
Just like we predicted, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, just like we said. I honestly, I never bought into the Rangers for some reason. I don't know why. I just didn't think they had the.
And everybody was caught off guard by the Diamondbacks.
The Astros, yeah, Diamondbacks. They were definitely a Cinderella, but I know some people are buying into the Rangers. They made all these moves. I never really bought into them, but they proved me wrong. So
Let me ask you.
Congratulations to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, let me ask you just real quick. Corey Seager, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer after this?
First ballot? You might have to give it to him because he had, like I said before, he had a great regular season, and he has 2 World Series MVPs now. So, I would say at least definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I don't know about first ballot. He might get some votes that are off.
He's not like he's he's definitely got some time left.
Yeah, I think
he's not like
I
at the
think
end
they'll
of his
be back
career.
next year. I think same thing with the Diamondbacks. Like I said, I just think if they don't make the postseason next year, I think it's a letdown for the Rangers because I don't think they're really losing anyone. I think they're all going to be back. They're a young team, fun to watch. Corey Seager, the veteran, Marcus Semien, he hit a bunch of home runs during the regular season. Adolis Garcia obviously had his great run until he went down, but they had no problems without him either. I think they won 2-0 since he went down. So I just think a healthy Rangers next year should have no problem getting into the playoffs. I know like you said, they play in a tough division, the AL West, but I think they're definitely going to be like a top 10 team next year.
Yeah, both teams play in a tough division, so both battle tested this year. So congrats to both. But obviously the Texas Rangers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, kind of shocking the world. Great season. Mm-hmm. Excited to see what you guys next year. You put yourself on the map. There's expectation now, but you put yourself on the map. People will.
There you go.
There's going to be Sunday night baseball games next year with the Arizona Diamondbacks after what they did this year. So,
it's definitely gonna be fun to watch them next year. I think, and they might be the favorites to win the NL West.
They might be now, absolutely.
I think everyone's giving up hope on the Dodgers.
They're a good
not
regular
in the regular season,
team.
but in the postseason, they never do anything. It's kind of sad at this point, but I think it's gonna be fun to watch. Do you have a World Series 2024 early prediction as of right now?
Man, it's so hard. It's so hard to answer that. We just ended the season here. I mean, as much as I feel like I have to say the Yankees, even though that's probably completely unrealistic. I don't know. We'll definitely have a few videos where we'll talk about it some more. I do have a few sleeper teams that I think are going to be contending for at least wild card position. Late in the season next year that probably weren't anywhere even near it. I know you're definitely going to have your Cubs making the playoffs next year. I'm going to have my Reds making the playoffs next year, but
I don't know. I kind of
you're not sure.
I don't have much faith in my Cubbies. No, I'm giving up on them, especially if they lose Bellinger. Especially if they lose him, I think they'll be another rebuild. We'll see, though. Yeah. I hope Bellinger's a Yankee come December, but we'll see.
Me too. Maybe even Soto. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe both. That'd be nice. We'll get into that soon.
Cool.
I just, like I said, bittersweet feeling with the World Series coming to an end. I don't know what we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to talk about football now. A lot of football content coming your way, but just kind of... That wraps it up for our baseball content for a while, probably, unless there's some big off-season signings.
I mean, I'm sure we're obviously going to have to talk about, potential signings. Teams are going to get better. Teams are going to lose players. Obviously a lot of Yankees content I expect to come. But I just looked it up, and the Diamondbacks had a negative 15 run differential in the regular season. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. And they still did it. I mean, they went 84-78. They were 16 games behind the Dodgers in that division. Yeah. And that's a good division.
You're right.
So.
Yeah. The Diamondbacks won 84 games. The Rangers won 90. And then you have the Orioles and the Braves who won over 100, which we're not going to get into this right now, but they have to fix the format. They have to.
Yeah, I mean.
There's no reason why the 100-win team shouldn't be playing in the CS.
Yeah, I mean,
Not taking anything away from the Rangers or the Diamondbacks.
I think the number of teams is fine. I like having the week of wild card games, or that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it may be, of wild card games. I think that's really cool. I think it's fun for the game because you got a bunch of different games and they're kind of all underdog teams, right? But I think I would probably say they would need to reseed it. I know Rob Enfred hasn't really... the last thing I heard is he likes the current format, right? Because it kind of sets up more divisional matchups or something. I don't know what he said. You get more matchups of Diamondbacks, Dodgers, and Phillies, Braves in the current format. For whatever reason, that's what
you
he said.
also get more chances of like upsets too, which is good for the game, but also.
But then when it happens,
if you look at the World Series ratings, they're like one of the worst ever.
Yeah, because the problem is you the big thing, the big argument is 3 out of the 4 teams that got buys got eliminated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Houston Astros were the only team to get by who had a bye week. So it's,
I just don't think that's a coincidence. I don't.
It matters because you don't play for a week. You don't face an opposing team for a whole week.
Baseball's a very, very routine game.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be away from it for too long, or you get cold.
Yeah.
You're not as like streaky. You're not as sharp. You're not as crisp.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you gotta go. You got the Braves playing in Philly in Game 3.
Yeah.
It's still a little cold. We're not getting into that, but just the way it is.
Yeah, and it could go a number of ways. Like I don't have the answer on how to fix the format. If I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably come up with something. But it's like, what do you do about the teams that win their respective divisions and win the whole conference, right? It's tough because it's like in the NFL they get that bye week, which for the most part proves to be a positive, beneficial for the team. But we're not necessarily seeing that in baseball.
Football is different with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Football you can rest up, you can still practice. It's just different. Like facing live pitching in baseball is just different.
Yeah. And losing, I mean, if it was 2 teams, I'd probably say, I don't know, but like the Braves went down, the Dodgers went down, and the Orioles went down. And I think like the Dodgers one isn't a huge shock for me. Definitely, and obviously the Rangers ran into the Orioles, but like the Braves, like they just went cold. And they, for 162 games, looked like easily the best team in baseball. Easily. Right. And then they got to the playoffs.
Orioles, like,
go ahead.
Even you can even make that argument for the Orioles because they were one of the best second half teams.
Yeah,
if not the best second half team. But they ran into the Rangers, and Rangers went into Baltimore and just swept them.
Yeah, they were hot. They took care of Tampa, and even though they were on the road, they had played 2 days earlier. Baltimore had like 6-7 days off. Swept them.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's very tough. So, you do feel for those teams because they had incredible regular seasons and fell short in the playoffs. But, it's not like what I will say is I think, and I said this at the beginning of the episode, I think the best team in October won the World Series, right? And I'm not just, you know what I mean? I think
in the month of October,
in the postseason, they were the best team. It wasn't a situation where you got kind of like a goofy World Series where it was like teams just kind of like squeaked their way through. And I guess you could argue that for this, but like the Rangers were convincingly really good in all of their series. So
they just like dominant overall. I'm not taking that away from them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So congratulations to the Rangers. I think that about wraps it up here for Indy Yard's first MLB season, full MLB season, the 2023 campaign. Hope you guys all enjoyed. We're probably getting into some more football content in the next coming weeks. Football's heating up now. You can kind of start telling who's legit, who's not.
Yeah.
And it's good. A lot of drama in the NFL right now too. Just a lot of good teams, a lot of bad teams. But yeah, we'll get into that too. Probably within the coming weeks.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. It's our baseball content wraps it up. Obviously we'll have more, once these big signings come around and stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the season as much as we did. Didn't really enjoy it as much as we could have if our Yankees did a little bit better. But at the end of the day, we're still baseball fans. We're still going to watch all the teams. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up here.
Yep. Thanks to everyone.
Like, comment, subscribe. To everyone listening, make sure you follow Braeden's TikTok, his DJ Brazy. Braeden, what's the handle?
I think it's just my last name, so Cox, COX_Braeden, BRAEDEN.
Yeah, give it a follow. Obviously, give it in the yard a follow if you haven't already.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, see you next time.